Welcome back to MMAOddsBreaker Frank Trigg. Brian Rogers this week is a new one for me. I'm actually getting tattooed as we speak. Most of you know I have a huge back piece I'm trying to finish, and I got to get it done. It's been over a year and a half process. So I'm over here at Blue Note Tattoo in Las Vegas trying to get my piece finally finished up. But Brian Rogers has a better story than I do. I'm just getting a needle in my back. You've actually had, is it 2 or 3 opponent changes in the last couple weeks?
Well, this is my third guy I've watched film on and been training for. Anymore, it doesn't surprise me. Like, even back in the day, like on the regional circuit, I used to have a lot of opponent changes. And one time a guy got arrested like 36 hours before weigh-ins. And, you expect that on the regional circuit, and I used to get it a lot. It's kind of funny that it still happens to me in Bellator, but I just have terrible luck.
Okay, so we know for sure you're fighting in Bellator September 19th. In Fresno, California. That's still definite.
Yeah, that's locked and loaded. Contract signed. The new guy is Rafael Carvalho, who's 9-1, Brazilian style Muay Thai striker. I think it's his first fight in the States as well.
So let's talk about the first guy you had. When was that? Who was the first opponent, and when did that announcement come out?
I had originally I had James Irvin, which I was excited for. Obviously, it's a big name, heavy hitter. But he hasn't fought since 2012. So honestly, as soon as it got announced, I was like, there's no way this guy's going to make it to the scale. It's just not going to happen, And I think I want to say that was 3.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And then about 5 days later, I was given Brett Cooper.
Okay, now why the switch from Irvin to Cooper?
Oh, I'm sorry. Irvin blew out his ankle.
Okay, all right. So he got injured. So as you expect from a guy that hasn't fought in 2 years, he's doing too much too soon.
Yeah.
Cooper comes in, takes over, and now you have Cooper 5 days later. So we're 3.5 weeks out.
Yeah.
About 2.5 weeks out, a little bit more. You get Cooper, and then when do you get the announcement that Cooper's out?
I think I had Cooper, and honestly, maybe the Irvin thing. Maybe I'm saying maybe 2.5 weeks, and then maybe it was Cooper after that. But
okay.
It was pretty all rapid fire. I had Cooper sign the bout agreement. We were locked and loaded for maybe, I think I found out on like a Saturday. I don't remember the date that the fight was being offered to Cooper. He took it on Monday or Tuesday, but then it's been a week of training and planning for him, and by the following weekend, he was out.
And he has a knee injury, correct? Is that what
what? I don't really know the situation. I thought he blew out his back, but then, and that's what I saw on some reports. That's what I was told. I know he had to push his last fight back because of a back injury, but then I think he tweeted that he broke his foot. I'm not really sure, but I mean, Brett Cooper's a tough stand-up guy. He's not a guy who's blowing any smoke. I don't believe.
No, if he's hurt, he's hurt. He's not a guy that's going to say anything. He's not a guy that's going to try to back out of a fight. He's a guy that loves the fight. So we know that. So we know at least with Brett, he got injured. Now you're on Rafael Carvalho, 9-1, like you said, a Brazilian striker. So you have what, 2 weeks to prepare for this guy?
Yeah, I mean, basically, he was on the card, on the undercard initially. I don't remember his original opponent, but. Yeah, it's gone from really good name value to James Irvin. I mean, people know his highlight reel, stuff from his UFC days and obviously fighting Anderson Silva to getting Cooper, who's fought for a world title, went 5 rounds with Shemenko. And, just a tough belt, guy's a Bellator staple and, a guy who's fought for the belt to a guy in Rafael Carvalho, which no one knows anything about. Like, it doesn't do anything for me name value-wise, but it's a tough, good guy. I mean, he's 9-1. He's won 8 in a row. His best wins versus Gustavo Machado that I've seen, but I think he got Machado a little late in his career, and he was able to beat him by decision. So it's a tough, dangerous fight. Obviously he took it looking to make his name off of me, but that's not going to happen. I think it's a terrible time to fight me right now in my career, and I can't look past him. Absolutely cannot. But I'm looking to, bigger and better fights. And, I've got my eyes on the main event, which is Melvin Manoff versus Doug Marshall. I want contender fights and big fights.
You're in a weird situation because you want to fight. The only time we get paid is when we fight. So if you don't fight, you don't get paid.
Right.
And then you're in training camp, you're ready to go, and now all of a sudden, like you said, you go from big name to all of a sudden a guy that doesn't do anything for you. A loss to him destroys your career. A win against him does nothing for your career. So it's a really, really tough spot for that. Mentally, how do you stay up for that? Like mentally, this is one of the most taxing spots to be in as an athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's one of those things I stay up for the fact that I need to put on a highlight reel type of performance and impress Scott Coker. You know, with the new brass and new administration, need to put on a good show. You know, the tournaments are gone, which I'm honestly a fan of.
Okay.
You know, so I need to put on a good show, so that way I'm on TV. You know, there's only, you know, moving to 2015, they're talking about having 12 to 16 bouts or cards and whatnot, probably once a month, and some big shows in between. 12 to 15, 12 to 16. That's limited television spots. So you're only looking at 4 guys a main card for sure. And granted, if you're on the undercard, you could get bumped. So I need to make sure that I'm a televised guy 3-4 times a year. You know, my last fight was on the undercard because I had a guy back out last minute at weigh-ins, and then the next fight I had to get moved to another card. The only way they could get me on was on the undercard, and I got a highlight reel finish knockout. You know, luckily they showed the clip and whatnot, but you know, from what I was told is, you know, when Coker, you know, became the new administration, he's like, why was Brian on the undercard? They told him the situation. He's like, that's not happening again as long as he performs. So it's my goal, just to perform and take steps forward.
Now, being on TV helps with sponsorships and that kind of thing. Do you get a bonus for being on TV from your sponsors, as opposed to if you're on the undercard and you're not on TV, you don't?
Some of them, I've done some of that in the past. I've been in a position where I just hired a new manager and whatnot, and I've kind of always worked with like a lot of Ohio companies in the past. So I'm just kind of branching out now, and sponsors are great, but I'm kind of looking to hit that next wave in sponsorship, and I feel like winning takes care of that. So long as I can get on this win streak and get some more TV bouts, I kind of go back after it. But I haven't honestly worried about it a ton, just because I feel like I can ask for a little bit more and you know, get a few better opportunities with some highlight reel wins. So after this fight, I definitely will. But yeah, I've had some things written in contracts before where they're like, if you get a knockout on TV or a finish on TV, we'll bonus you this X amount or that X amount. So it definitely helps with negotiations and whatnot.
Is your pay for fighting any different between being on TV and being off TV?
No, you know, that's the thing. And what's going to happen, it's going to be interesting. A lot of people's contracts, you know, before were real tournament heavy. Like your big money was in the tournament, fighting for Bellator, and then your non-tournament money was at a much lower rate in most cases for most guys. So I'm still on that contract for my non-tournament fights, and you know, my goal is to rattle off a couple, you know, big reels and get on a normal 3, 4, 5 fight deal like you would in, like you used to have in Strikeforce, like you have in the UFC, to get to a better pay bracket. Because my non-tournament money, I've been fighting too long and too hard to get paid what I'm getting paid for this fight. It's for a guy at my level and skill, it's not what it should be. But normally in the past, when you were going into tournaments, you would take a non-tourney fight for less money. You know what I mean? Because you needed to qualify for a tournament or whatever. But now with no tournaments, there's no, you know, it doesn't make sense for the rate I'm currently at. But you got to win. You got to back yourself up. I know myself. I think 2014 is a big proving ground for a lot of fighters. You know, they've made a lot of cuts already. You got to state your claim. You got to state your worth. And I think guys who do that are going to be taken care of in 2015 and beyond.
Ben Askren was on Inside MMA on Access TV with Kenny Rice and Boss Root. I'm sure you heard the whole thing where he thought he got cut off and the whole bit. And obviously you saw Boss's return where he was like, no, he didn't get cut off. It was time to go. It was just time for the end of the interview. But one of the interesting questions that Kenny asked him, you know, if the UFC, you know, can you make a life outside of the UFC? You know, the juggernaut of the UFC, the money that comes in with the UFC, the sponsorship dollars, all that. If you're on TV, the bonus structure in the locker room, it's so much more money.
Much more.
Do you think, first, UFC comes calling, are you going to the UFC? Because we all know Scott Coker let you out if you went out of your contract to go to the UFC. He's done it before in the past. That's how he operates his businesses. If you're not happy with him, he wants you to go. If the UFC comes calling, are you going?
You know what? I want to get paid. At the end of the day, when I have grandkids, they're not really going to give a shit where the money's coming from. I absolutely don't care. You know, by the large part, I think there is more financial opportunity in the UFC, but I've been with Bellator for a long time, and granted, I don't have, you know, I had a really good relationship with Bjorn Rebney and Tim Danaher, and that's no longer there, so some people could say that I don't have a loyalty, but I have a good relationship with a lot of the employees and the people on the ground level as well, and, you know, so it really doesn't matter to me. I just want to get paid, like, and for me, too, I always look at it as I'm a guy who's got his bachelor's and got his master's degree, but yet I'm potentially making less in a year than I would making a normal job. Like, the reason you become a pro athlete is to make more money than you would in another job. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I need to get to that next level. You know what I mean? Like, and I need to do that because I don't, I have fun what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing, but it's a lot of work for, a pretty average yearly salary.
Well, really living paycheck to paycheck. You're a professional athlete that lives paycheck to paycheck. That's basically what we are right now. And it's unfortunate that a guy of your caliber is kind of stuck in that position. But I think, too, that with Coker in there and if it's a end of contract negotiation, you're like, look, I could go here, I could go there, I could go there. The Bellator's going to come in and go, look, Brian, you stayed with us through this entire process. It's time for us to give you a little bit extra money. What do you need to stay put? And they're going to give you the extra money to stay put. I do think that Coker's going to start opening up the coffers to let people stay.
I think so too. And I mean, remember when Strikeforce was in business, some of the contracts, the way they were written, they were like 60 to show, 20 to win, 70 and 10. Like, they were really front-loaded structure because they appreciated the entertainment value and people showing up and bringing it to fight. And obviously, there's different companies, different budgets, but at the end of the day, it's Scott's bottom line and who he believes in and whatnot. So, I just need to rattle off some wins. And ideally before, I think my contract expires September 2015. I'm not sure, which isn't that far away. It's roughly a year from now. And hopefully 3 or 4 fights. Like, if I can rattle off some and I'm in a good position, we can renegotiate right now. But if I'm not hearing what I want to hear, then I got to fight it out and go to free agency. But, I got to win and take care of business. If it doesn't matter what I'm saying right now. If I don't take care of business on the 19th, and then I'd obviously, with them announcing their big card November 15th in San Diego with Bonner and Tito and Will Brooks and Chandler, like, I'd want to be on that. I'd want to be on that card for the eyes and the limelight, and that's 8 or so weeks away. That's doable.
Are you have a pick for that Bonner Tito fight?
Well, if either one of them get hurt, I'll fight either one of them. I'll put that on.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm fine. I'm fine with that, and I'm not that much smaller, but somehow I make 185.
Yeah. It's because you're younger and not as injured and not as beat up, and that's what it is.
So I still move my head.
Hey, you liking Denver? You feeling good up there?
Yeah, it's been a great experience. I've come out here off and on over the years. Chris Camozzi and I met in like 2008 trying out for Tough 7. And, they shuttle you around. There's 100 guys in different vans, and I found he was one of the only normal people I could talk to and get along with. So I traveled back and forth, and after my last fight, I was looking to make a change and do some things. And I'd been out here before. He'd come to Ohio and always had a good relationship, and just decided to make the move full time. So January to May, I was living in his basement, finished basement, but basement nonetheless. And then went back home after my May fight, and then officially moved out and everything here now. So yeah, it's great. It's much better, better weather than the Midwest. A lot more sun. Yeah. The altitude's great, you know what I mean? I think people have always given me crap and said things about my conditioning and cardio, but, I'm a big guy. I'm a heavily muscle guy, but I really never really knew how to pace myself. I always fought real aggressively and pushed forward too much, and I think coming to Factory X has made me a lot more. I think the word technical is overused. I think the word I'm looking for is tactical with my strategy, my game plan, and my pacing and things like that. You can be in the greatest shape in the world. You step on the gas at 100 miles an hour, you're not going to hold it for 15 minutes. And I think that's some trouble I've gotten myself into in the past. So I feel good from that aspect, just being more tactical and technical. But obviously training at elevation has been great as well.
Good. Well, it's Brian Rogers. He's finally got an opponent. Hopefully this guy sticks with Rafael Carvalho. He's fighting September 19th. Bellator, of course, can be seen on Spike TV. Brian, thanks for coming on here. I appreciate it. It's good that you finally got comfortable up in Denver and got a good camp going on and out of the basement.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Good luck with thank you. Good luck with the tattoo. You're doing a good job of keeping a straight face.
Dude, you have no idea. He was just on my trap. I literally, in the middle of the interview, when I turned around, slap him in the back of the head. Every time he goes with my traps, I want to kill him. Nothing, no matter what you do, no matter how much I prepare for it, when he hits the bottom of my neck, it always hurts. Always.
Make you tap.
He's trying to make me tap is what he wants to do. That's his biggest attribute. So, all right, thanks, Brian, man. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, bud. Take care. Good seeing you, Frank.